Tonight on CFTK-TV News, the terrorist RCMP are investigating a recent assault case. Israel got the chance to respond to allegations made by South Africa, and a Surrey man is undergoing experimental treatment for cancer.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Good evening, I'm Cale Maslin, and here's what's making news in the Northwest and beyond today. The terrorist RCMP are currently in the midst of asking for help from the public following an assault last weekend. Back on January 7th at around 2 p.m., the RCMP received a report about a man that had been assaulted and robbed in the Georgia Little Park by 3 or 4 teenagers who left the man with some serious injuries. The incident is believed to have occurred near the stage area that is most commonly known as the band shelter. The terrorist RCMP are still investigating the assault and have asked that any witnesses or people with video surveillance to report to the terrorist detachment or to BC Crime Stoppers. Charges of criminal contempt are the main topic of discussion at the ongoing trial of 3 people opposed to the Coastal GasLink pipeline. The trial stems from an incident back in 2021 that allegedly saw the breach of a 2019 BC Supreme Court injunction that forbid anyone from interfering with the pipeline after it began construction in Smithers. The 3 individuals up for prosecution are Molly Wickham or Slado of the Wet'suwet'en, Shaylin Sampson of the Gitxsan, and Corey Jocko of the Mohawk in Ontario. The initial incident that happened back in November 2021 saw RCMP officers notice the Community Industry Response Group raid a pair of cabins on the Morris Forest Service Road and arrest a total of 29 pipeline opposers and even a pair of journalists that also led to another pending legal matter. A recent report that was sent out by the BC Northern Real Estate Board showed that homes sold in the northwestern BC area dropped a bit in 2023 from 2022. In the city of Terrace, 2023 saw 271 properties compared to 277 in 2022 sold, although the value of the properties jumped from $114.8 million in 2022 to $116.2 million. In terms of single-family homes in Northwest BC, a few got sold for less than $499,000, and the end of the report did also show that compared 45 in 2022, 130 total properties in the nearby Terrace area could be purchased on the multiple listing service. But in total, 2023 is said to have seen 4,233 properties sold for a total of around $1.7 billion, down from both 5,071 sales and $2 billion accumulated in 2022. Today, it was Israel's turn to respond after South Africa laid out its allegations at the World Court in The Hague, Netherlands yesterday. South Africa is accusing Israel of committing genocide against Palestinians. Israel calls the charges outrageous and offensive.
The entirety of its case hinges on a deliberately curated, decontextualized, and manipulative description of the reality of current hostilities.
South Africa's governing party has long compared Israel's policies in Gaza and the West Bank to its own history under apartheid. Here in Canada, Justin Trudeau said that while Canada supports the International Court, that doesn't mean it supports the premise of South Africa's case against Israel. Trudeau says more details on Canada's position will come later today. Coming up next, Surrey's policing battle now has even more controversy. Welcome back. A new controversy has erupted in the Surrey policing battle. The police union is blasting the city for refusing to pay the salaries of new SPS recruits. CTV's Michelle Bernoro reports on why the city has turned off the financial tap.
Calling it unprecedented, the Surrey Police Union has been writing checks to cover wages owed to 10 new police recruits because the city refuses to.
We're shocked and we're disappointed.
The city informed the SPS of its decision in a letter sent in December.
Days before Christmas, the Surrey Police Union was told that the City of Surrey refused to add these new recruits into their payroll system. As a result, there was no way to pay these recruits or provide them with medical benefits.
Surrey deserves a safe community. Police officers need to get paid. For Pete's sake, those police officers need to get paid, and the city should be paying them.
But the city says the SPS is way over budget and was advised not to incur additional costs.
The Surrey Police Service had a budget of $48.7 million for 2023, and they've exceeded it by about $23 million. It's now in the area of $75 million. My understanding is that they swore in these officers subsequent to that.
The SPS isn't commenting, but the union says before the letter was sent, the recruits had already been offered jobs. They call it nothing more than a tactic by the mayor to try and delay the transition away from the RCMP.
We understand that the mayor is frustrated with the policing transition, but to put brand new police recruits who quit their jobs, who have families, and who just want to serve their community, to put them in the crossfires is unacceptable.
We will not allow public safety to be compromised for a political campaign.
However, the city maintains this is a budget issue.
Any homemaker and citizen realizes that you can't spend money that you don't have. And when we talk about $23 million over budget, that is huge.
The union is now working with the Surrey Police Service and the province to try and figure out how the new recruits will be paid again in 2 weeks. Michelle Bernoro, CTV News, New Westminster.
As the new year gets rolling, local Mounties are giving the public a reminder of when it's okay to call 911. To drive home the points, the Coquitlam RCMP shared some bizarre 911 calls that did not require an emergency response. They include someone calling because a fast food burger was cold and they wanted a refund. Another person called because they were frightened after watching a scary movie. And Coquitlam's dispatch says it receives more than 68,000 calls a year through both 911 and non-emergency lines, but only half of them require police attendance. A 23-year-old Surrey man is in China right now undergoing experimental treatment for an aggressive form of cancer after doctors here told them that there was nothing else they could do. He's hoping if this cutting new-edge therapy works, he can return home for further treatment in British Columbia. CTV's Shannon Patterson has more.
Lucian Del Pedato was only 21 years old when he was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia.
It's one of the more aggressive types of T-cell ALL, and T-cell ALL is already one of the more aggressive types of leukemia. So it was like, they were like, this is the one you don't want to have.
18 months ago, the plumber from Surrey had 2 rounds of chemotherapy, followed by a bone marrow transplant at Vancouver General Hospital.
The bone marrow transplant worked really good for the first year.
But after returning home from a trip to Europe last summer, he noticed swelling in his eye. The cancer had returned.
They pretty much said, like, since it relapsed in your eye, it's going to come back inevitably. There's nothing they can do to stop it.
Just before Christmas, Del Pedato was told there were no treatment options left, and he likely only had 2 months to live.
And I just feel like they're giving up on me, and I'm not ready to die. I want to do everything I can to live.
So this past weekend, the now 23-year-old flew to China to undergo an experimental treatment called CAR T-cell immunotherapy.
They're pretty much taking these cells, training them like in a facility, making a bunch of little super soldiers, and then injecting them back into your body and saying, kill all the cancer cells.
With this therapy that Lucian is trying to take, it's in clinical trials. There are people trying to perfect this, but it's really pretty experimental, and that's probably why he had trouble getting access to it in Canada.
The treatment in China isn't cheap. Del Pedato's family has launched a GoFundMe to try to cover part of the $93,000 price tag.
There have been amazing cases of remission with this type of experimental therapy in some of the reports I've been reading. Whether that works long-term or not, is kind of anybody's guess. And so you're kind of asking, what's the price of hope? And, if you've got no other options and you have the resources to try, I can certainly understand why he wants to try.
If the CAR T-cell therapy is successful, Del Pedato will need a second bone marrow transplant, something he's been told likely won't be offered in BC because oncologists here believe his cancer is terminal.
In other places in the world, like the UK, they give people 3 transplants before they give up. 3 transplants in the same year even.
Del Pedato can get the bone marrow transplant in China, but he wants to come home for treatment, pleading with oncologists here to take another shot at helping him beat cancer. Shannon Patterson, CTV News.
A Calgary couple is gearing up for the adventure of a lifetime by driving a rickshaw across India. And along with the challenge, they're also doing it to help kids in their hometown get around a little bit easier. CTV's Mark Villani has more.
Oh, do you remember that?
Yeah. Heather Wickstead and Matthew Daw have plenty of memories to go through on their social media pages, from paragliding in Colombia to swinging on the beaches of Thailand, even navigating Elephant Island in Antarctica. This Calgary couple loves to travel, and they've got another big trip on the horizon.
I read the website, I leapt off the couch and said, oh my God, Matt, I found our next adventure.
The pair is participating in a rickshaw challenge this April, driving in these three-wheeled vehicles across India. It starts at the northern tip of the country, all the way down to Fort Kochi in the south, totaling a distance of 3,500 kilometers over 2 weeks.
Every day we have to figure out where we're going to go, how far we're going to go, when the rickshaw breaks down, how we're going to fix it.
But they aren't just doing this for fun. Both of them primarily travel the world by bike, which inspired them to fundraise for Two Wheel View. The local nonprofit provides thousands of Calgary kids with access to bicycles and teaches them valuable mechanical skills.
It really allows young people to access parts of their city or parts of their community or other opportunities and resources they might not otherwise just by physically having a bicycle.
We do a great deal of riding our own bicycles around the world, and so we thought any place that we can support something like that to expand the use of bicycles anywhere, we're happy to support.
And while bicycles have taken Wickstead and Daw quite literally to new heights, they hope a new three-wheeled vehicle gives them that same excitement for exploring new places.
Neither of us know how to drive a rickshaw, so I suspect the relationship may take the odd challenge.
Hopefully 2 weeks later we arrive at the finish line with all the parts still intact and we're still talking to each other.
Mark Villani, CTV News, Calgary.
Turning to tonight's weather, the North Coast is projected to see partly cloudy conditions and their low at -13 degrees. The Terrace-Kitimat area is set to see a few clouds of their own as well as a low at -18 degrees. And the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District is supposed to have only clear conditions instead, but an ultra-cold low of -37 degrees. On the North Coast, the week for them should consist of clearing conditions, then clouds, rain, snow, as well as a chance of flurries, and the high shifting between -5 and 4 degrees. In the Terrace-Kitimat area, their week should see mixed sun and cloud to begin, and then snow and flurries, while their high should move from -13 to -1 degree. And in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, the next week or so will include sun to start, then pretty much all snow after that, with the high bouncing from -25 to -12 degrees. Checking out the highways now, visit Drive BC for the latest and up-to-date conditions, and as always, drive safe out there. On Highway 16, there is slippery sections, utility work, and electrical maintenance, plus the Usk Ferry is out of service, and the cable car is in effect. Highway 35 has some slippery sections as well. Highway 37 has some slippery sections too, while also having shoulder maintenance. 37A has more slippery sections, even more slippery sections on the Nishka Highway, and the Telegraph Creek Road has slippery sections with compact ice. And this is what the roads were looking like this afternoon around the region from the view of the province's highway cams. Still to come, an Ottawa man is trying to help people save on groceries. Welcome back. As the cost of groceries continues to rise, an Ottawa man is trying to help people save. He scours for deals so that you don't have to, growing a following across the country. CTV's Leah LaRocque reports.
This is how Donovan Bury starts his day.
The first thing I do is I open up Flip.
Searching coupons for the best deals at the grocery store.
It dates back from a long time ago from my parents. They always had this philosophy of buy if it's on sale, stock up if it's on sale.
But he doesn't keep them to himself. He makes a list of the best savings in town and posts them on Ottawa's subreddit every week.
$1.88 blueberries. I know there's cheaper in town.
It's gaining a lot of traction, a go-to for those on a budget. All at a time when consumers are spending more at the grocery store and food bank usage has hit an all-time high.
As soon as I walk in, try to see what's on sale. Donuts is right there, food based, so I'll hop in a couple between those, maybe Walmart.
The prices are definitely crazier than they used to be.
And food prices are expected to go up again this year. Some experts say that the average family of 4 could spend more than $16,000 just on food in 2024. But they say that some relief is in sight.
The work that Donovan is doing wouldn't have worked 3 years ago because people wouldn't take the time to visit 2-3 stores. Grocers will want us back, and it will probably offer us more loss leaders and rebates, and that could actually lead to some price wars.
The research has paid off. Bury saving hundreds.
There was one Christmas batch of stuff that I bought. It was like $170, but I saved $80, $90 on it.
The search for savings, his recipe for success.
But yeah, no, I'll keep doing it. Like I said, I really enjoy it. When I find the little tips and tricks, I really like to put them out there.
Leah LaRocque, CTV News.
As cold temperatures set in, Edmonton's mayor says that the city's homelessness situation is at a breaking point. He's preparing a motion to declare a housing and homelessness emergency. This announcement comes after police dismantled 8 homeless camps that were deemed by the city as high risk. CTV's Bill Fortier reports further.
You can leave peacefully or you will be forcibly removed.
When police moved in to shut down an Edmonton homeless camp, things quickly turned confrontational. Police arrested 3 people accused of refusing to leave and interfering with officers, one of them a freelance journalist.
Who are you protecting? There's no violence here, nobody steals. We have a good rapport with the rest of the community. There should be no reason for this.
In recent weeks, police and city teams have dismantled 8 homeless camps across central Edmonton after they were labeled high risk last month.
We've got people burning to death. We've got gangs in there. We've got serious medical issues.
Lawyers for a human rights group have launched a lawsuit alleging the city is violating the charter rights of the people living in the camps. Other cities and provinces have taken different approaches. On the East Coast, the recent deaths of 2 homeless people have shone a light on the problem. In New Brunswick, a new homeless hub is expected to be in place in just weeks. Nova Scotia is bringing in 200 of these small cabins known as pallet shelters, some expected by late this month or early February.
This timeline has taken longer than I would have liked, absolutely. But I will tell you, there's a lot of hard work.
Late last year in Gatineau near Ottawa, dozens of insulated tents were set up with beds, electricity, and heaters to replace nearby camps. Edmonton's mayor has called a special council meeting Monday where he will declare a housing and homelessness emergency. He'll also bring together provincial, civic, and Indigenous leaders to discuss these encampments and what should be done about them.
Apple has agreed to pay Canadians more than $14 million following a scandal involving batteries in its phones. That means if you own an older version of an iPhone or can prove that you did, you could get a check in the mail. CTV's Adrian Gobriel explains.
Apple is poised to extend an olive branch to Canadians.
Thanks to everyone who worked on these amazing products.
The Cupertino, California company has agreed to pay up to $14.4 million to Canadians due to alleged defects caused by an iOS software upgrade to the iPhone 6 and iPhone 7. While it might be a small piece of Apple's pie, the payout promises a maximum of $150 for each customer who qualifies across the country.
There have been a lot of questions around how this can happen, why this happened, and what remedy is going to be appropriate to make Canadians whole again.
The proposed settlement stems from allegations of performance mitigation features on certain iOS software, which caused the iPhone 6 and 7 to prematurely age, degrade, and shut down unexpectedly. The so-called iOS upgrade on older devices has been criticized by some customers for years, who believe it was an intentional ploy to encourage people to buy a new phone. Apple has never admitted to any wrongdoing, alleging that the operating system was supposed to protect batteries from dying.
What's front and center here is, did Apple actually know, or was there anything deliberate where doing an upgrade actually diminished the performance of the battery?
While a settlement isn't an admission of guilt, some technology analysts believe Apple is eager to turn the page on this controversial chapter while making amends with consumers. Roughly 60% of smartphone users in Canada reported having an iPhone last year. Samsung was the closest competitor, with more than 25% of the market share across the country. Information on how to submit a claim isn't available just yet. The settlement is awaiting approval from British Columbia's Supreme Court. A ruling is expected on January 29th. Adrian Gobriel, CTV News, Toronto.
To some dramatic video now of a resident taking matters into their own hands to stop porch pirates in their tracks. But despite the happy outcomes, it has police warning people it's best to stay out of it. ABC's DeMarco Morgan reports.
Good Samaritans caught on camera actively confronting suspected porch pirates.
I just saw somebody on my Ring camera steal 2 packages.
In New York, the Yonkers Police Department sharing this doorbell video. Watch as the suspect brazenly stuffs a package into his backpack and swipes a second one as he leaves.
Caller is not home but saw this on the Ring camera. He took a box and a parcel.
Hi. Stop right there.
Officers approaching the suspect before he takes off on foot. A second surveillance camera captured a bystander hopping out of his car, running towards the alleged porch pirate and shoving him so police can make an arrest.
Just happened to be in the right place at the right time and helped to stop the pursuit.
And in Fort Smith, Arkansas.
My mom all of a sudden was telling us, like, there's some people stealing some boxes.
A group of high school seniors say they leaped into action and confronted 2 potential porch pirates in their neighborhood.
We all started running down the street and we checked the packages to see what the address was, and it happened to be the person across the street.
And so after we checked the address, we tell them, hey, take these back now.
This doorbell camera showing the friends walking the alleged teenage thieves, packages in hand, back to the house they came from.
We walked them all the way back into this guy's house, make them apologize, tell them what he did, and bring back the packages, and he gave a lecture.
But experts advise going face-to-face with a porch pirate can be dangerous, and that the best thing to do is to call your local police department.
You want to leave the crime fighting and the apprehension of suspects to the professionals.
And now we turn our attention to the stock markets. The Canadian dollar is up 0.12 of a cent. The price of gold is up $32.40. Oil is up 66 cents. Natural gas is up 22 cents. Aluminum is up $2.50. In Toronto, the TSX is up 71.82 points. The Venture Index is up 5.89. In New York, the Dow Jones is down 118.04, and NASDAQ is up 2.57. Good times keep rolling for the Vancouver Canucks.
And here's Heroic to Pettersson, trying to win it in overtime. Elias Pettersson feeds, scores! He snuck it through the legs of...
Elias Pettersson won it in overtime, giving the team its 4th win in a row. He's led the way with 7 goals and 5 assists during the streak. The Canucks will try to keep things going tomorrow against the Sabres. That's all our news for now. From everyone at CFTK-TV News, I'm Cale Maslin. Thanks for watching.